Hi, welcome to this Hava walkthrough. So once you log into Hava, you'll be presented with your dashboard, which shows you all of the environments that you've imported so far. So ours, we've obviously got a fair few already. So once you initially log into Hava, you'll have nothing here apart from the option to import some demo data, which you're quite welcome to do, or you can connect to your own cloud accounts. So navigating around, we've got through the left hand side here, we've got the ability to view your data sources, your environment diagrams, and then filter down to the individual types of diagrams. So infrastructure being the normal topology diagram, security view, which is currently available for AWS, but the other platforms are coming soon. The list view and the container view, so we'll have a look at those in a bit more detail later. On the right hand side here, we've got all of your connected data sources. So here you can look at the different cloud accounts that you've got connected to Hava at any one time, and then you can filter the diagrams that you wish to see within the dashboard by toggling the view of those environments on or off. Within the data sources themselves, you can, on each of these individual connected sources, you can do things like invoke a manual sync. So currently your data will be synced daily, but if you've done a whole bunch of work and you want to see that reflected in a currently updated diagram, then you can simply come into here, hit sync, and that will sync the metadata from your cloud accounts onto your diagrams. You can also then change names or edit credentials. So as you connect accounts to Hava, then you enter a set of credentials, which we'll have a look at in a second. So going back to the main environment dashboard, adding your cloud accounts is fairly simple. So what you can do is hop into add environment. Then we've got currently 3 options of Amazon, Azure and Google Cloud, and then each of the different types of access are defined within our help docs. So if I hop across to docs.hava.io, you'll see we've got a Gitbook repository with a whole stack of sort of technical help docs. So looking at the getting started with AWS, for instance, it shows you from the add environments the different steps that you need to go through. We recommend for AWS using a cross-account role. So that gives you the flexibility to create a read-only role and also then adjust policy settings. So if there's stuff that you don't want Hava to access, then you can adjust the policy to allow or disallow access to that particular information. So within this JSON file here, you can make your adjustments before creating the policy within AWS. And then once you're in your AWS dashboard creating the new policy, and then you return back to Hava, then the role ARN and so forth will be pre-filled within these input boxes here. Similar thing with Azure. You go through your Azure portal and then acquire some subscription IDs, tenant IDs and so forth to connect to your Azure cloud account. And then with GCP, it's a matter of creating a credential set file within GCP and then uploading that file within here, and that will then import the metadata into Hava. So as I mentioned before, the data within the diagrams is pulled in at the moment daily. So really once you've connected your cloud account, then Hava will automatically keep all of your diagram sets and your compliance reporting automatically up to date. So if we have a look at this, AWS diagram here. So first thing you'll notice is that we're using the updated icon set. Now if you're not particularly fond of that, or you're used to working with the older style icons, we do have the ability here to toggle between the two icon sets, which we find a lot of people like. The diagrams are logically laid out in AWS by VPC. So here we've got the VPC laid out with the resources that are external to that VPC around the outside. So we've got Internet Gateway, Customer Gateway, WAF rules, some S3 buckets here, peering a VPC endpoint, a peering connection here, for instance. Then within the VPC itself, we've then got the availability zones. So you'll notice that the interactive nature of the diagrams, as I select different elements within the topology diagram, then the attribute pane over here is changing to be contextual with whatever I've got selected on the diagram. So we've got the VPC, we've got availability zones here. So here US East 1D, US East 1E as the zones, and then within the zones we've got individual subnets. So as I select this particular subnet, then you can see all of the metadata pertaining to that subnet is displayed in the attribute pane. And then likewise, the interactive nature of the diagrams allows me to do things like, if we've got security groups listed here, for instance, then as you hover over those, it shows you all of the resources that are associated with that security group. Down through here, the environment as a whole. So over here you can see we've got a little map of where the zones are located. Then over here a monthly estimate. So this is basically the default charges for resources are tallied up, so it doesn't take into account spot pricing and special deals and things like that. So this will be what you would typically expect to pay for the resources that are configured on your topology. So you can see we've got Elastic IP, load balancing, EFS, WAF and so forth, down through here with a total close to $2,000 for this particular environment. So going through, if we select different attributes, see all the data changes in relation to that selected item. So what we've got is also some layout controls through the top here. So as you can see, the diagram at default is a very clean layout, so there's no connections shown. The individual resource names we don't map on the diagram initially because you can see them in the attribute pane, but if you do want to display names on the diagram, you can do that. So you can switch them on and off here, as you can see, and then you can also switch on and off the display of the connections. Here we can zoom in and back out. We have a skewed view which kind of predated the 3D view that we have. Also in the view options, we've got the ability to stretch and adjust the display. So if you've got a lot of stuff that's bunched up and you want to make the width of the resources wider, so we can do that. We can stretch out the height, and then increase the subnet columns. So again, this is all, you can move all the diagram stuff around quite easily. Can reset the layout. So then we have a 3D view. So if we hop into that, so you can see we've got a camera angle, so we can look straight down onto the 3D, or we can look at that view that we're seeing now. We can also, within this 3D view, display the connections. So we can zoom in, spin it around. So probably from a developer point of view, I don't know if that'll be real helpful, but from a management boardroom perspective, then a lot of people like to see this stuff, so we've included it, but it's just as easy then to hop back to your 2D standard view. We've also got some different views down here, so we've got the extended infrastructure view, so this puts a lot more data related to the resources onto the diagram. So if I look at this extended infrastructure view, for instance, you can now see the layout's gone a lot wider, and if we hone in on some particular resources, you can then see we've got the name, the ingress and egress IP addresses with the databases, so we've got a actual size or data usage within there. This database here, you can see it's configured at 500 gig. We've got the different resource names and so forth. So just a whole bunch more information that if you want to see that initially, then you can just hop straight into the extended infrastructure view and view all of that good stuff. So then we've got the list view. So what the list view does is it does what it says on the tin. It's a list of all of the resources that are discovered within your cloud account. So, and this will also show stuff that's not visualized on the initial infrastructure and extended infrastructure diagrams. So if you've got a whole bunch of network, so we've got some volumes here, all these network interfaces. So we purposely don't put those onto the diagram because they're there could be literally hundreds or thousands of them, which just makes the diagram unreadable. So here's where we can hop in and view everything that's been detected when Hava scanned your environment. But what we can do here is sort these resources by so you can basically like drill down to individual types. So if I just wanted to see the databases, for instance, I can just select RDS to view, or I want to put S3 buckets on there, so I can quickly, if you've got a massive environment with tens of thousands of resources and you're just interested in the databases, for instance, then that's the way to quickly access without having to find them all on the diagram. You can drill straight into that information. Something that the accountants seem to love is we can sort all the resources by estimated value, so we can see the most expensive resources that are all listed here. So going down through, we've got all of the EC2 instances, databases and so forth, and then we can export those to JSON or CSV. So that would instantly give you a spreadsheet of all of the costs and the resources. So somebody's asking, why is the environment costing this much per month? You've immediately got a complete breakdown of cost information. Another unique feature of Hava, this is valid for AWS at the moment, but I know that GCP and Azure are coming soon, and that is the security view. So what we've got here is essentially all of the security groups. So we've got the internet coming in, then the different security groups that have been detected, and then laying on top of that we've got the traffic flow, so the open ports, or the ports that are configured to allow traffic to run through the network. So the security guys just absolutely love this view because it instantly says, we've got a port 3306 open here. Why is that? And they can just drill straight into, what security groups allowing that to happen, and it's all easily identifiable. So again, this is fully interactive. So selecting on security group changes the attribute pane to give you information about each of the groups. So you see this demo all servers security group here tells us the group name, the zone that it's in, and then the ingress ports that are open with the IP addresses, and the egress ports that are open, and then all of the connected resources down through that belong to this particular security group. So again, it just saves eons of time trolling through console logs to try and work out what's going on. It's all visualized for you in the security view. Go back to infrastructure. So what you'll notice here is we don't have, we don't allow editing of the diagrams from within the app itself. That's because we always present the Hava diagrams as reality, as the source of truth. So what you're looking at here is reality. It's what's actually running, not what was potentially designed but not implemented or not implemented correctly. So and specifically for things like PCI audits and maybe insurance claims, where you've got to prove the structure of the network was sound at any point in time. Having this source of truth means you can refer back to previous versions of Hava diagrams as being, this is exactly what was running at this point in time. So it's, so we don't have stuff that you can, I can't go in and delete this resource or add more or drag and drop things on to the diagram, because then that basically means that the integrity of the diagrams are pretty much worthless. That said, this might be the starting point of a redesign, and you want to make some notes or adjustments or design a new layout using this as a base. So what we have is the ability to export the diagrams, and to do that we've got this export function up here, and that will take your diagrams out to PDF. So if it's just simple management reporting, you can go out to PDF or PNG, and that just takes basically an image shot of that network actual file. The VSDX export, so that's your Microsoft Visio, but we've also found that works really well with Draw.io. So that's basically a no-cost option to take this diagram as a base and then take it out to one of these programs, which will then allow you to edit, drag and drop, move around individual items. So it's not a snapshot of the whole, one fixed image of the diagram. It's individual components you can edit and move around, and then you can drag more resources from the icon library on Visio or Draw.io onto the diagram and do your changes. If you're making a proposal to upgrade the network and so forth, that gives you the ability to do that. We've also got the CSV and JSON file export, so that takes all of the metadata that Hava's using to build the diagram and then takes that out in text format. So that's really useful if you want to do some diffing or comparison work on what has changed on networks between two different dates. If you've got CSV from today and then a CSV from 6 months ago, you can diff those and find out what's changed over time. So what we also have is, if I go back out to environments, so you have the ability here in this query builder to create diagrams on the fly. So by just connecting a data source and then Hava automatically discovering your VPCs and creating different diagrams and so forth. That might not be the way that you want to look at things. So you might have one large environment that's got like a development environment or a staging environment, and you just want to look at that individual portion of your network. So to do that, we give you the ability here to create diagrams on the fly based on a stack of different search criteria. So here we've got region, for instance. So if we select that, it gives us all of the regions that are available. So we can select everything that's in EU Central 1, and then you can construct quite complex queries, because we've got an AND operator and an OR operator, and then you can add stuff in parentheses, so you can stack different queries together, and then basically so you can see from here, so if you've got regions to work with, you've got the name of the resource to work with, and that's both you've got partial wildcard you can do, VPC IDs you can use, so VPC hyphen XYZ 1 2 3 4 5, and then you can construct, so if you want to just see one VPC or see a diagram with multiple VPCs on, then that allows you to do that, and those VPCs could be spread over different AWS accounts that you've connected, and they might even, it does allow you to join together AWS and Google Cloud because they both use that VPC terminology. You've also got then virtual networks in Azure, resource groups for Azure, GCP projects, particular types of resource, a specified source, so that would be a whole AWS account, matching IP addresses, and so an easy way to understand what we're talking about there. If you look at in the help docs, they're defining custom environments, so there it's got a full breakdown of all of these options. There's a video there on the different search syntax, and then the search tokens, so the IP name. You can also use custom tags. So if you've got a custom tag called department, so then you could enter department : and then the value that you want to match for that department that you're searching for. So totally flexible and an easy way to really hone in and customize on what you're wanting to build a diagram for. And then on top of that, once that diagram is built and you're happy with it, you can save the diagram, and then it goes into the dashboard as another one of your environments and then Hava will continue to poll and update all of the elements on that diagram, so you've got the full version history, which we'll talk about in a minute. So looking down through, we've got subnets, types, search by tags, so any value followed by a colon will be treated as a tag, so you can join queries with and or. You can exclude with the minus. You can group together searches in brackets, so VPC 1 2 3 4 and cost center dev or cost center test, and then so those searches will bring back anything that implicitly matches the criteria. What you can also do is using what we call a deep search function with the @ symbol, it will then return everything that matches, and then also everything that's connected to the match type. So for instance here, so if you've got @type is AWS EC2 instance, so that will effectively return all the EC2 instances plus anything that's connected to those, such as load balancers or ECS clusters and so forth. And then as you can see from here, you can stack up the queries, so they can get quite complex to really zero in on the information that you're trying to find. Now back to versioning, so that's production. So it's a slightly larger example. So you see here we've got some grayed out resources, so that just tells me that if we look at this instance here, we've got green light, so that's running, and then this one will be grayed out, so that's an instance that's been stopped. You see the status here is stopped. So it's configured, but it's not running. Then what we've got over here is a version history. So this is one of the hidden gems within Hava, is that every time the environment's polled and a change is detected, then a new version of the diagram is automatically created, so you don't have to do anything. You just hop into your Hava account, and then everything's up to date. All of the diagrams, all of the different environments that you've got connected are fully up to date. And then once a change is detected, the new diagram spawned, but then the superseded diagram is saved in version history. So that allows you to go back at any point in time to look at what was running. So as stuff auto scales up and down, or you make changes, then all of that's captured in this version history that you can go back and work out what was happening at that point in time. So if somebody says, the network's been running really slow for 2 weeks, then you can go back, look at the version history, see what changed, and hopefully get to the bottom of an issue. But it also allows you to, from a PCI compliance perspective, you can, if somebody says, we think there was a problem, then you can go back into at any point in time and say, look, this is exactly what was running at that point. So if I select this older version here, so you'll see, now we're looking at the older version, but it's still completely interactive, so we can select each of the individuals. So it's not just a PDF snapshot of the environment, it's all fully interactive, and you can go drill right down into security and everything that was happening within that environment. So diagrams aren't all about just AWS. So here we've got a GCP diagram, same theory. We've got it's everything laid out by zone, all contained within a network that's within the environment. So again, you've got monthly estimates down here with the different resource types. Again with a 3D. Option. And the display names, and then we can do the manual adjustments to the layout if we need to do that. Look down through. So here's your Azure diagram, exactly the same concept. We've got the names, the connections, that you can display monthly estimates on the entire environment. Then you've got your resource groups, virtual networks, and then subnets within those, and then external to the virtual network. You've got your storage accounts and so forth. The other type of diagram that we have are container diagrams. If you've got containerized setups within your cloud account, then you'll end up with a container diagram. So this is laid out by clusters, and then within the clusters you've got the services, then within the services you've got the tasks, and then you'll notice here we've got a bit of a traffic light thing going on. So the green is running. We've got a pending status there, and then I think those are stopped. So it's color coded, so you can see at a glance what's running, what's not running, which is quite handy. Go back out to environments. What we've also got here is a reporting module. So what this is currently AWS, but there will be more reports added as we work through the roadmap. So this first one is an AWS Compliance Report. So what this does is it tells you all about your usage in terms of resources and regions and so forth. So this is telling us here we've got two regions in use. So we look at the available, so we've got US East 1 and US West 1 configured in this particular environment. And then so we've got the different resources. Again, all these graphs are interactive, just tells you what's going on with a visual prompt of what's happening. So a lot of S3 buckets in this environment. Keys, and we've got IAM configuration. So we've got within the roles, we've got 4 active roles and 37 inactive, and then we've got 1 active user and 39 not. Then the findings, so this is the based on the AWS Well Architected framework. So what this is telling us is within the findings we've got 7 low urgency findings, we've got 1 informational finding, we've got 2 high impact findings, and then we've got 5 medium. So, and they're related. You can see around the outside we've got 4 related to IAM issues, 1 to guard duty, 1 critical on IAM. We've got the S3 findings, and then each of those issues is then broken down within the findings. So what we see, so for that guard duty issue, what we find out here is a medium level concern, and it is that guard duty is not enabled. So then we've got here informational issue on the S3 bucket, then a low concern issue here, and then if we look down through with IAM, we've got low priority finding there. Then we've got a highly concerning issue here relating to an IAM role configuration there. So this basically gives you a bit of a health checkup on your configuration within AWS, and then you can drill into these, look at the actual policies that are causing the problem. So if we look at the more option here, so then we can actually see the particular configuration code that is causing the issue, and then that gives you the ability to have a look, see exactly what's going on, and resolve it. We go back out to our diagrams. What we've also got is an embeddable viewer. So this is kind of cool. So if I hop up into here and then share, so that gives us a piece of iframe code that will allow external access to this particular diagram without the user or viewer needing to be logged in to the Hava account. So obviously use with caution, but this will allow you to then hop out to, so I'm just on W3 Schools here, but I can paste in that iframe code here. So this is completely external to Hava, and as you can see, then we've got pretty much a completely interactive version of the diagram that will remain viewable until you remove access within Hava. So again, there's obviously potentially sensitive information like IP addresses and security groups, whatever. So we typically see these used in internal support tickets, or if we have a look, we've got a Confluence wiki here with a embedded diagram. So again, quite useful. And then if you've got a lot of technicians but a limited number of Hava logins, then they can see that information within the wiki or the intranet site. If you've got that, and basically anywhere that will take iframes, you can plop a fully interactive diagram. So we've also got a fully functioning API. So people do a lot of cool stuff with the API. Like I've seen it used to create animated diagrams within Terraform pipeline. So capturing artifacts of the pipeline build on the fly, which is kind of cool. So again, the whole API is fully documented within Swagger Hub. So you've got the stuff you can do with your sources here. You can create import create sources. So it allows you to, if you've got a ton of stuff that you need to import across multiple accounts, then that can be done via the API. So you don't have to sit there manually creating data sources within Hava. You can use the API to do that and attach and list environments. You can export your views using the API. So the stuff where we saw the export options within the application, you can do all that from the API as well. You can pull a JSON export of your resources, look at the jobs. So if you're submitting a job via the API, you can actually get a job ID and then keep an eye on it from the API as well. You can create teams, which we didn't really talk about too much in the demo, but you can create teams within Hava and then permit access to particular elements within your environments to individual team members. We've had a look at the docs.Hava.io, so like a fully fleshed out help documentation on getting started, all the stuff you can do, the search and filter, explanation of the different diagram views. So this is fully public facing, so you can hop in here. If you've not got Hava yet, you can hop in here and really go to town on seeing exactly what Hava can do for you. Within the application and also on the website, we've got live chat, so you can hop onto here if you've got any questions at any point, and we'll try and help you out. Now we're based in Australia, so if you're trying to chat to us at 3 a.m, you'll have a little bit of a wait, but that said, the guys in the support team are very responsive to support and general help issues, and that goes for across on the website as well. We've got essentially a sales chat widget here, so if you've got any questions at all, if you want to have a chat to one of the guys about arranging a one-to-one demo, we can, we're happy to do that. So we can hop on screen share and walk you through, have a chat about your use cases to see if we're a good fit. If that, if you just want to hop in and start playing with Hava, you can just hit the sign up button here and then pop in your information, and then you'll be straight in. So there's a 14-day free trial available all the time, so you can hop in, absolutely pull in live data, have a good ferret around, and then just yell if you need some help either with connecting or with use cases that you're not quite sure how to build a custom diagram for your particular scenario. Then the guys can chat you through all that and help you out. So there you have it. That's a bit of a, sorry, I've gone on for a bit, but that's the Hava in a nutshell. If you have any questions, you can hit up chat or on the contact page. If you don't feel like live chat or there's nobody around, you can pop your questions in here and then they'll get answered as soon as we see them. So there we have it. Thanks very much for watching.